Hi, I'm Chuck Chvala, former Senate Majority Leader.
And I'm Scott Jensen, former Assembly Speaker.
And we're the insiders. So, hey, big primaries coming up in August 11th. So, Scott, what's your take?
The primaries in August are likely to not have a big turnout. And that's unfortunate because most of those primaries, most of the seats in Wisconsin, the legislature and Congress are either decidedly Republican or solidly Democrat. And the winner of the primary is going to be the person who wins in the fall. And yet only a small number of people are going to select that person in August. In parts of Milwaukee, they're saying they think the turnout will be less than 10%. I'll bet there's a seat down near downtown Milwaukee where someone will win the Democratic nomination with 1,500, 1,600 votes and become the legislator there for the next 20 years. So it's unfortunate that these turnouts are smaller, but places like the suburbs where I live or Madison where you live, I think there's a lot of hotly contested races and they'll be at 25, 30% turnout. The only incumbents that I can see out there who have any trouble in a primary are Stash Grzinski up in the Green Bay area, who got caught up in a sexual harassment scandal at the state capitol. A lot of the Democratic Party seems to have rallied around his female opponent, and I think that doesn't look good for him. And then down here in the Milwaukee area, freshman Representative Marisabel Cabrera was oddly one of two people in the legislature out of 132 who voted against the coronavirus relief package that the governor and the legislature worked out, and he signed into law. I think in the midst of this crisis, that might cause some difficult questions at the doors. We'll see what happens there.
Well, I think that Scott identified it. I mean, it is interesting how these things happen. So, for example, Scott Fitzgerald will probably take over the Sensenbrenner congressional seat. How many years did Sensenbrenner serve? 30 years, Scott? It was a long-term thing.
42.
But that's nothing. Well, go ahead.
42 years?
42, there you go. But that's nothing compared to the, 60-some years that Fred Risser served in Madison. And, not that this is big to the outside world, but this is probably the first time ever, and certainly in the modern era, that I can remember two state Senate seats available in Dane County at the same time without an incumbent. And of course, that is in part related to the fact that Fred Risser hung around for 60 years. But and even on those seats, the drama is really kind of been taken out. I think Melissa Sargent is very likely to win my Senate district. I will be voting in that race. And of course, just no surprise, I like Melissa Sargent. She's a friend, and I will be voting for her. In Fred Risser's district, there are a number of people running, but I think most people would give the edge to Kelda Royce. And then there are races underneath that for the assembly, et cetera. I don't think there will be, although the face may be different, for example, in Melissa Sargent's district, I don't think that the outside world will know much that there's a partisan difference or many changes in policy based on who will be there. So there are a lot of races. There are a lot of open Senate seats, for example,
right.
State Senate seats, an unusual number. But in most of those races, in part, I would say, because of the gerrymandering of Republicans, there won't be competitive races in the fall. So Scott Fitzgerald will become the new congressman. Melissa Sargent will be the new state senator. And Kelda Royce probably will be the new state senator replacing Fred Risser.
So I think the other trend I would see out there is that, at least on the Republican side, which I pay a little more attention to, I think there'll be greater diversity in the nominees that we're seeing coming out of the August election. More women and more minorities than the Republican Party in Wisconsin has had in the last couple of decades.
And that's happening already and has been in the Democratic side. You're finding majority white districts that are electing someone like Sheila Stubbs in Madison because she's just an outstanding individual and African-American. So you're starting to see all sorts of changes out there in that regard. But overall, it is disappointing there won't be more people there to elect what probably will be their state senator, their congressman, or their assembly representative.
Right. Please vote Tuesday, August 11th.